Adenosine Triphosphate, or ATP in short, can be defined as the immediate energy currency required for cross-bridge cycling, membrane pumps, and biosynthesis. ATP is used continuously. Muscle stores are small, so ATP must be rapidly regenerated during exercise. The three energy systems are biochemical pathways that differ by rate and capacity and together meet the body's ATP demands over different timeframes and intensities.
Hello, welcome and thanks again for joining. This standard level video examines the three energy systems that regenerate ATP, the only currency the body can use to yield energy once our macronutrients are converted from food. These are the Phosphagen system, known as the ATP-PCr for short, the Glycolytic System, known for anaerobic glycolysis, and the Oxidative System, known as the aerobic system. Throughout this video, we'll define each system, show when it dominates on the energy continuum, and explain biochemical and physiological mechanisms. We'll give some applied sport examples, describe recovery time for each system, and implications for training and performance testing. The standard level content and sporting applications covered in this video should support with MCQ and extended response style exam questions, which you may come across. If you manage to stick around until the end, I'll reveal some IB exam technique and linking questions related to the energy systems. Don't forget to keep spreading the word with colleagues and peers to like and subscribe to the channel. Slowly but surely, we are converting some short-term viewers into long-term subscribers. Thank you in advance for support, and of course, I'll continue producing and uploading free sports science content each and every week for you. With that being said, use the timestamps to jump to specific sections which interest you, and now let's get stuck into the video.
The objectives you should achieve by the end of this video include being able to explain the metabolism of carbohydrate and fat, design the ultrastructure of a mitochondrion, which you can do as an independent task to help understand the powerhouse of a cell as well as its structure, define the term cell respiration, describe metabolic pathways that supply energy, explain the role of ATP in muscle contraction, discuss the characteristics of the energy systems and their contribution during exercise, which can be seen on screen now. And finally, evaluate the contributions of the energy systems during different types of exercise. Clearly a lot more objectives to cover for this content in comparison to recent videos, but this will allow us to truly examine the three energy systems and their interplay. The body uses three overlapping energy systems. They all contribute at once, but which one dominates depends on how intense the effort is and how long it lasts. The Phosphagen system, ATP-PCr, supplies energy immediately and very rapidly, but for only a short time, about under 10 seconds. It is anaerobic and powers all-out sprints and single heavy lifts. The Glycolytic system, anaerobic glycolysis, gives a high rate of ATP for moderate durations, roughly 20 seconds to about 2 minutes. It breaks down glucose or glycogen to make ATP quickly and produces lactate when demand exceeds oxygen supply. Oxidative system, aerobic metabolism, delivers ATP more slowly but can sustain work for long periods. It dominates beyond about 2 to 3 minutes, using oxygen to oxidize carbohydrates and fats for prolonged exercise. The energy continuum of energy systems describes how the three energy systems, ATP/PC, anaerobic glycolysis, and oxidative, interact to provide energy for the human body during exercise. Muscle cells store a small amount of ATP that fuels the first 1 to 2 seconds of maximal effort. Creatine phosphate, PCR, then donates a phosphate to ADP via creatine kinase to rapidly regenerate ATP. This system powers very short, explosive actions like the start of a 100-meter sprint, a single maximal lift, or a vertical jump. Key features of this system are that activation is instantaneous and anaerobic, that is, no oxygen needed. It produces the highest power of the three energy systems but has very low capacity. PCR stores typically run low after about 6 to 10 seconds of all-out effort. Recovery of PCR requires oxygen and is done via aerobic metabolism. Full replenishment usually takes about 2 to 5 minutes, depending on fitness and recovery intensity. Active, low-intensity recovery speeds, PCR resynthesis by keeping blood flow and oxygen delivery high. As an athlete, or if working as a coach, you should allow long rest intervals, about 2 to 5 minutes, between maximal sprints or heavy lifts to restore PCR for true maximal performance. For repeated sprint training, it may be beneficial to use shorter rest, so athletes work with partially recovered PCR to improve recovery kinetics. The glycolytic system dominates efforts roughly from about 20 seconds up to approximately 2 minutes. Think a 400-meter run or repeated high-intensity intervals. Its ATP production rate is high, but not as high as the Phosphagen system, and it supports sustained high power for this middle time range. Glycolysis breaks down muscle glycogen or blood glucose into pyruvate, making ATP quickly and producing NADH, which is essential for cellular energy production. If pyruvate production exceeds what mitochondria can oxidize or oxygen is limited, pyruvate is turned into lactate by lactate dehydrogenase. This reaction regenerates NAD+, letting glycolysis continue when demand is high. Lactate is a product of this pathway, but it's not just waste. Lactate and its associated hydrogen ions reflect intense metabolism. Lactate can be shuttled to other tissues and oxidized as fuel. Fatigue occurs when accumulating metabolites, inorganic phosphate, H+, ADP, and the resulting lower pH interfere with muscle cross-bridge cycling and calcium handling, and when perceived effort rises. Recovery is partly rapid. Metabolic clearance and much lactate removal occur within 30 to 60 minutes, and active low-intensity recovery speeds, this by promoting blood flow and oxidation. Restoring muscle glycogen takes longer and requires carbohydrate intake over several hours. For training, glycolytic focused intervals, for example 30 to 60 second repeated sprints, boost glycolytic enzyme activity, buffering capacity, and tolerance to high metabolite levels. Design interval duration and rest to target these adaptations depending on the athlete's event. The oxidative system dominates efforts longer than about 2 to 3 minutes, so it's key for sustained activities like distance running, cycling, and rowing. Its maximal power is lower than the short-term systems, but its capacity is much greater. It yields far more ATP per fuel molecule, many ATP from each glucose, and even more per gram of fat. Aerobic metabolism happens in mitochondria. Pyruvate from glycolysis and fatty acids from fat breakdown enter the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain, producing large amounts of ATP when oxygen is available. Carbohydrates and fats are the main fuels used aerobically. Protein plays only a small role, except in severe, prolonged exercise or calorie deficit. Training increases mitochondrial number, capillary density, and oxidative enzymes in muscle, which raises VO2 max and endurance capabilities. Aerobic pathways also drive recovery. They resynthesize PCR and clear lactate, while glycogen restoration needs carbohydrate over hours. The speed of these recoveries depends on mitochondrial function. For coaching, long steady sessions build aerobic base, and interval work that targets VO2 max builds peak oxidative power to improve overall endurance. Energy systems overlap and hand off as exercise continues. In a 400-meter sprint, the Phosphagen system supplies explosive power for the first 6 to 8 seconds, then glycolysis takes over for the rest of the race. The oxidative system still contributes to ATP supply and is important for recovery between efforts. All three systems work together at every moment, but which one leads depends on time and intensity. Training changes these transitions. Better aerobic fitness increases oxidative capacity, so the body relies less on anaerobic pathways for a given effort and delays fatigue. Here is a visual idea for listeners. Imagine a graph where the phosphagen contribution peaks early and falls quickly, glycolysis rises and dominates in the middle, and oxidative contribution rises slowly and dominates after a few minutes. The three curves overlap rather than meeting at sharp edges. This can also be seen on screen now for our viewers. And finally, at low exercise intensities, the body mainly burns fat. Fat gives more energy per gram, but needs more oxygen and is slower to produce ATP, so it suits steady, long efforts. As intensity rises, the body shifts to burning more carbohydrate because carbohydrate can produce ATP faster and is more efficient per unit of oxygen. That makes it better for high-intensity work. During long exercise, muscle glycogen can run low and the body must rely more on fat. This shift helps keep going but reduces the ability to produce very high power, which is why athletes can hit the wall, so to speak, when glycogen is depleted. Training and nutrition change fuel use. Endurance training increases the body's ability to burn fat and spare glycogen, while carbohydrate loading before an event boosts glycogen stores, so high-intensity performance can be sustained longer. In this section, we'll take a look at two hypothetical scenarios. Based on the content covered so far, can you apply some practical training applications for the energy systems, identify recovery timelines, and create some active strategies to improve each energy system? Let's see. Pause the video after each scenario is revealed and construct your answers. Scenario 1. You are an Olympic coach working for a selection of track and field athletes. How would you propose they develop each energy system? Can you create a sample session plan with your specific suggestions to develop each energy system? A possible suggestion for scenario 1 can be seen on screen now. This outlines some sample sessions and specifics around power development for the Phosphagen system, glycolytic conditioning, aerobic development and methods for managing fatigue. Scenario 2. A couple of your track and field athletes are feeling sore after a recent session. They have asked you how long it might take to recover and also how much rest they should be taking in between session sets. Can you briefly educate them on energy system recovery between session sets and post-exercise with different types of training? What would you suggest? A possible suggestion for scenario 2 can be seen on screen now. Ultimately, different energy systems recover on different schedules. Glycogen restoration takes many hours and requires adequate carbohydrate intake after exercise. Recovery needs to be based on the system which they target in training. Okay, well done. Let's move on to some formative assessment and exam technique. In this section, we'll have a go at some quick-fire multi-choice questions based on the energy system's content, which may appear in paper 1A. Pause the video here, have a go and see how you get on. Let's take a look at the mark scheme so you can self-assess. Okay, good stuff. Next, let's crank it up and take a look at some data-based short answer and extended response questions which may appear on paper 1B and paper 2 based on the energy system's content. For possible short answer and extended response style IB exam answers, you may be required to define each system, give time domains and fuels, explain biochemical and physiological mechanisms linking to performance, show example sessions and recovery strategies. You may also need to use calculations and equations outlined in the sports science data booklet where necessary. Long screen, you can see some short answer questions related to the video content. Use the command term key to carefully consider the requirements of each DBQ and ERQ question and construct your answers with the appropriate level of detail. Pause the video now and give them a go. Okay, let's take a look at the answers and see how you performed. Take a moment to pause the video here to reflect and self-assess. That is the end of the additional higher level content for this element. We can finish by thinking about the following linking question from the course guide between what we have covered in this video, topic C and topic B, respectively. C 1.2. How does a person's level of aerobic fitness affect their mental toughness? B 1.3. How does a lack of ATP affect muscular contraction? If you found the energy systems subtopic interesting, you may wish to pursue a scientific investigation in this area. On screen, you can see some sports science internal assessment ideas and key considerations you may wish to use to support with formulating a research question. To summarise, the phosphagen, glycolytic and oxidative systems together supply ATP with differing rates and capacities. Understanding their time domains, fuels and recovery constraints is essential to design sport-specific training, optimise performance and manage recovery.
If this standard level energy systems session genuinely helped you in some way, or you would like to see more like this, please share, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. The goal continues to focus on finding more teachers or students like you and supporting them with their IB sports science needs. Also, don't forget to click that notification bell so you're the first to know when new content hits the channel. Stay tuned for the next video where we'll look at some standard level content around factors affecting maximal oxygen consumption, also known as VO2 max. Alternatively, if you would like a little refresher on previous content from topic A, I'd recommend looking at this episode here. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you over on the next one.
If you made it to the end of this video and would like to support the growth of the channel, please take a look on screen now and scan the QR code. Thanks again,